Okay, so let's go ahead and finish talking about barn burning. And again, I know this isn't perfect. I just learned how to use this tool, so I will get better at it, but it's better to do it and at least give you some guidance on how to approach this literature and your paper. So anyway, so the things I wanted to finish talking to you about, we were talking about word choice and how word choice can show some significance in here. And a lot of the word choices are basically there to tell you about the characters. This is a very big character piece. And so we understand that this is a family that has not done well financially, that they're very poor. And we can see that from a lot of the word choices that are made. And then when we look at some other word choices, and it's kind of comparing the Snopes family to his employer. So when we look at this employer, there are things that some character choices and word choices that they tell us about this employer to kind of juxtapose how poor the Snopes are versus how well off his employer is. And so you can kind of see by even the fact that the employer has a butler or some help in the house, and that also fuels Abner's resentment because the help is actually not only talking down to him, but is also very neatly dressed and finely dressed. And again, looking back at doing a historical analysis, when this piece takes place, there was a lot of tensions between Caucasians and African Americans. And so you can see that the father could perhaps make the argument that the father could be very resentful of the fact that this butler is talking down to him and telling him to wipe your foot, white man, before you come in here, so wipe your feet before you come in here. And it's basically the way he's talking about it, and ordering him around. You could see where Abner might be a little bit resentful of that. And then in other terms, in terms of word choice, and also not just word choice, but symbol. So let's look at the rug. What is the significance of the rug? Not only did he soil the rug, but we get the impression that he intentionally soiled the rug because Sardis talks about before they even walk into the house that his father, and it made it sound like he intentionally stepped in the horse dung. It wasn't something that he accidentally did. So he intentionally was upset. And it could be because he saw all this wealth, and it just fueled his animosity to those that are in upper class and the way that he's been treated. And so when it comes to this rug and wiping his foot on the rug, well, what did the rug represent? And I want you to think about, if I were making an argument and I was talking about the significance of the rug, let's say I was writing a paragraph about symbolism, and I could talk about what the rug symbolizes. And the rug actually could symbolize the lavish lifestyle that his employer lived, because a rug isn't something that's a necessity. It's actually something that is more of a luxury. And I was sharing with students last night that I've recently moved. I moved from Southern California to St. Louis, Missouri. And when I moved, when I moved, I'm looking at I didn't move my furniture, so I'm refurnishing my place. It's very expensive to move furniture. So as I'm refurnishing my place, of course, I bought some furnishings, and I haven't bought pictures yet. And I really like to decorate, but that's not top of my list right now. That's more of a luxury, and eventually I'll add on to it and start adding more pictures and those types of things. So it's not anything that's part of an essential thing that I need right now. So the same argument could be made about a rug. It's not something that you need, especially this type of rug, and it's also an expensive rug. And look at all the corn that it would take just to pay for this rug. And they also tell you how long it takes them to even get a bushel of corn. So this rug's very expensive, and so it's very, very much showing a lavish and wealthy lifestyle that certainly Snopes isn't a part of. And so going back again to looking at character and word choice and motivation, why was the father so angry? Well, obviously he was angry because his life didn't turn out the way that or it could just be the dynamics of class warfare, as this question suggests. But there's also a lot that can be assumed and inferred based on the final page, the second to the last paragraph, where Sardis is talking about his father, and he talks about his father being in the war. And he was actually led by Colonel Sardis, who his son is named after. And he said that his father was a private in the fine old European sense, wearing no uniform, admitting the authority of and giving fidelity to no man or army or flag. So he's not wearing a uniform because he doesn't want to give his allegiance to anybody. And then it also says he's not giving his allegiance to anybody. Well, why did he go to war? Well, he says he went to war for booty, which is money, B-O-O-T-Y, which is money. It meant nothing and less than nothing to him if it were enemy booty or his own. So his father's motivation is riches. So you can, if you're doing a character analysis of Abner Snopes, which you certainly can do in a paper that you're writing, you could talk about how he was, so bitter and angry because he was poor, and he didn't. And not only was he poor, because if we go back and we look at the piece that we read last week, certainly in everyday use in Alice Walker's piece, certainly that family with the mother and Maggie and Dee, certainly Maggie and her mother weren't living a lavish lifestyle, so financially they didn't have a lot. But they were happy with their lives, so poor doesn't automatically equate to unhappiness. But Snopes was definitely unhappy in his situation, and part of it is because he was looking to be rich. And so you can kind of, again, do more character analysis. You could actually write a paper about his character. So let's go on to the question that's asked here. While many see Abner Snopes as a villain in William Faulkner's Barn Burning, others see him as waging class warfare on a system that marginalizes him. At one point, Sardi says maybe his father couldn't help but be what he is. Is that the case? Why does Abner keep setting fires? So you can make an argument, and some of you might be making the argument, that he is basically a product of a society. Had he been born in a different situation, maybe had he had a silver spoon in his mouth, he might have been a different person. So you can make that argument. You can make a lot of fine points and use the text. Remember always to use the text to back up your point. So there's things that you can read in the text, just like this question does. Maybe his father couldn't help but be what he is. So you can use the text to support that. And then you can also use real-life examples. One of the examples I brought up last night in the discussion is the website, thepeopleofwalmart.com. And if you're not familiar with that, you might want to look at it. It might be offensive to some, and it's funny to others. But in that website, it's actually a website that shows photos of people that are wearing things that can be funny or questionable when they're at Walmart. And we can go out to Walmart or other places in public and see people wearing things that might not be something that you would want to be seen in public wearing. And sometimes it's because they're wearing funny clothing, and sometimes it's because they have a lack of clothing. So in terms of the people at Walmart.com, I had a class that I taught several years ago that we were looking at. We were looking at the idea of parody and when does it become too much? And in our conversations, we looked at the people of Walmart.com, and of course there's some things that got people laughing a lot in terms of the pictures that were there. But one of the academic journals that I had, articles that I had students to read, actually talked about, it was actually from some psychologists, and they were looking at the people of Walmart as being a very negative thing, and that they're actually, according to them, making fun of a disadvantaged group. Because oftentimes, this article made the point that oftentimes Walmart, especially in its early beginnings, started off in rural communities. And many times in those communities, people aren't educated and they're not very wealthy. And certainly education can increase one's understanding of the world and may change the way people do things and their behaviors. So it's basically saying because they are poor and because they're uneducated, sometimes they do things that people that are more mainstream or educated find ridiculous and funny, and they're making fun of a disadvantaged group. So that is an argument that you can make too, is that Abner Snopes, even though he did some pretty awful things, you could make the argument that it was because of the way he was treated and because of his upbringing and the pressures that he had. And anyway, so there's a lot of different ways that you can interpret this piece. And so I wish you luck on doing this, and I hope these small screencasts will help you with that. If you have any particular questions, please feel free to email me. If you need immediate responses, I would recommend that you text me, and I have provided you with my cell phone number. I try to look at the board daily, but that doesn't always happen. So if you post something to the discussion board and you really want an immediate response, then I would recommend that you text me or email me. And if you do email me in the Brandman email, it does come to my private Gmail. I have it forwarded, so that way I see it immediately and can respond to you immediately. Again, I look forward to working with all of you this term with this course, and I hope it becomes meaningful and enjoyable for you. And I also, as I mentioned last night, I will be working on grading your discussion posts from last week and this week, and give you feedback on those in the next day or so. So please, again, contact me, and I look forward to working with you the rest of this semester, and have a great day.